Jados, your bank account looks a bit empty there.
Yeah, mate, I'm gonna need to borrow a $5.
What's that for, the loose change menu?
Owning a property can be a pretty expensive thing, and most people that we see just think, well, you just pay the interest and maybe a few rates and you're there. But there are lots of costs involved with owning a property that you gotta pay ongoing.
That's right, we're gonna go through the 9 ongoing expenses that are incurred when owning your property today. So why don't we dive right in? So the first ongoing expense of the 9 that we have today is insurance. So Jayden, walk me through this expense and what the ongoing costs we could expect.
Insurance can be a pretty big cost that a lot of people don't know about and don't even think about. If you own a house, you need to pay for replacement insurance if the place burns down, and also for all your contents. And this can vary depending on the area that you live in, the crime rates, if it's affected by flooding, etc., etc. And the banks will actually have a minimum amount that you need to have insured for the replacement value, because if the property burns down and they've got a mortgage on it, they want to make sure that it's covered if something happens. On the other hand, if you've got a property in a strata complex or body corporate, your insurance may be covered by everyone else. So you pay that in other fees, which we'll cover in a bit.
So if you have a freestanding house worth about $500,000, you can expect your insurance to be about anywhere from $80 to $90 to even $100 a month. Now it does change depending on the area. Now a quick bonus tip here is to do a quote of insurance before even entering into a contract. The reason for that is if you've been in a flood prone area, I've had customers where they've been quoted $10,000 a year on insurance, which is completely unaffordable. So you want to check that out before you commit to the property so you know exactly what your ongoing cost there is.
Cost number 2, probably the biggest cost you're gonna have, is interest.
That's right, Jayden. The interest changes from bank to bank depending on what rate you've gone for. If you're fixed or gone variable, it is the biggest ongoing expense you're gonna have with the property, and you'll have a really good understanding of this because you're gonna know what your repayments are gonna be ongoing and what your monthly commitment will be.
You definitely want to try and make extra repayments though. So while the bank might give you lots and lots, give you probably more money than what you want, try and make extra payments because the bank's assuming you're going to take 30 years to pay off that loan. So an easy tip is $50 a week extra can save you over $100,000 depending on your loan amount. So it can make a big difference in interest costs. Check it out. We've got extra calculators down the bottom.
So the third expense is your council rate. So walk me through this one here, Jayden.
Yeah, no, so this one pays for your bins, the local parks, all that fun stuff that you just got to pay. Council rates, depending on your property's value, can range from a few $100s up to a couple of thousand. If you've got a $500,000 property, the council rates might be about $2,000 a year. So you definitely want to factor those in because you're going to be paying it as soon as you move in.
The council rates are usually charged quarterly, and you'll receive that either in the mail or if you've set up your banking that you receive it through BPay online. So this is a quick little tip in which you can avoid having the paper statement sent through to you, and it comes in your BPay view bills, which is quite handy.
The fourth ongoing expense when you buy a home are bank fees. How much are you going to be in for these, Nados?
Well, if interest wasn't enough from the banks also charge annual ongoing fees if you've selected to be under a package. Now that's usually $395 at the upper end to about $280, $248 depending on the bank. So this is an ongoing fee that most banks will charge if you go under the package where you have an offset account, you get a credit card, you can fix the rate in. So that is something to be aware of. It comes up once a year, but if it's $395, that still works out to be $30 a month. The fifth is strata fees. Now this is only applicable if you've got a unit. So Jayden, walk me through these fees here.
Yeah, it also applies if you've got a townhouse. So the strata fees usually cover if there's someone managing the building, if you've got common facilities like lifts and pools and gardens. And like I said, if you've got a unit or a townhouse, it covers the replacement value if the whole complex burns down. So these can vary depending on where you buy. If you're on the Gold Coast, they tend to be on the more expensive side because you might have an on-site manager. If you're in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, wherever else, it might be a little bit cheaper. Generally, it's anywhere from sort of $2,000 upwards. And like I said, it depends on the facilities in the building and how big it is.
As soon as you've got an elevator in the building or a pool or a gym, your costs can slightly increase. So check the body corporate before you buy the property and understand what the ongoing commitment's gonna be.
Yeah, this is an important thing to do before. We've covered this in a few other videos, but if there's issues with the building, they're gonna be in the minutes of meetings for the strata or the body corporate. And that could mean your body corporate fees are going to go up over time. So you want to factor this in because you don't want to buy a new place assuming you're going to pay $2,000 when they could be coming $4,000 or $6,000 in the short term.
Expense number 6 is ongoing maintenance of the property. Now, this is a big one if you own a house, and they say to keep aside 1 to 3% of the purchase price towards maintenance each year. Jayden, what are the sort of things that I can expect as an ongoing maintenance with the house?
Lots of stuff. Broken toilets, you got to fix it. You've got ovens that break. You've got just even the garden, wear and tear on carpets, the lot. So it's definitely worth allowing a bit of money there, even for a repaint every 5 years that you're just going to need to do. There's stuff you can push off, of course, but just allow a bit of money there because stuff does break. Unless it's a brand new house and there's warranties and different things in there, definitely allow at least 1% per year ongoing to cover the costs of just these little things that tend to come up.
And your 7th ongoing cost with having a property are water rates. So this is for obviously utilizing water. Jayden, what can I expect from a cost for my rates?
Yeah, good question, Nathan. The water's based on consumption, so it can range from $1,000 to a few $1,000s a year if you really drink a lot or fill your pool. So just look out for that. Bank on $1,000 if you're a single person, and anywhere up from that if you're a big family. One good thing if you've got an investment property is you can actually pass on the cost of water rates to your tenants. So it's a good little tip that you can do. It's only been allowed in the last few years. We have to pay the cost, the water rates.
And one small caveat there, check with your property manager because the property does need to be individually metered, and I think there is a threshold in which if they go over they need to pay, but check with your property manager before you pass that on. And the 8th tip for ongoing costs with having a property is your ongoing pest management fees. So this is for if you're in Queensland, termites, having your termi mesh installed. Jayden, what else are the things that I should expect here with ongoing pest management?
Yeah, it's like every year at my place, I get just sort of a bug spray done to get rid of cockroaches and ants and all that sort of stuff around the house. So that can cost about $150 to $350 a year, depending on the size of your property. So you definitely want to check that out. And like Nathan said, with termites being super active up here, you want to make sure the barrier is in place because if those critters get in there, your insurance won't cover it and you're going to have to pay the costs of replacing a lot of timber.
And the 9th tip for ongoing costs with owning your property are renovations. So what renovations are we talking about here, Jayden?
Yeah, so this is in the case of, like you, Nathan, if you let the ongoing maintenance slip a bit, you leave it a few years, then you suddenly realize your kitchen was put in 1960 and hasn't changed since. So the renovations can be more substantial stuff, like completely gutting and replacing the kitchen, changing a bathroom, etc., etc. So these can cost tens of thousands of dollars. The average cost to replace the kitchen is about 10 grand, depending on sort of the scale and how nice you do it. So it's worth considering that in the cost of buying a place before you jump in. So you definitely want to have some extra money left over there for those.
So that's it for today, guys. These are the 9 ongoing costs associated with owning your property. Please let us know if you have any questions below. And if you like today's video, like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.